Here we go, let's start this show. Steelers by the way. It's time to get that day. James, Cody, Nick, and Jill on the mic. It's about to get real. Keep it live, that's right. From Pennsylvania to across the globe. It's time for this Steelers All-Star Show.
Welcome to the Whose Mock Is It Anyway, where the RAS scores are made up and the grades don't matter. How are you guys doing this wonderful Saturday morning? I've got Jill from Ohio with me, Nick Pretzel, Cody Tanner, myself. I'm James Strong. We'll start with Jill. You're the one that's going to be the feature person today with your mock draft. How are you feeling this morning, Jill?
I am exhausted. It is quite the early morning, but I've got my Alani that I already cracked open. So just insert energy drink crack here.
There you go, Jill. Got you.
Thank you, Nick. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I've got my voltage this morning. I'm ready for a jolt. I'm ready for Jill's mock draft, and I'm ready for some Whose Mock Is It Anyway? Cody, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. As you guys already know, I got my 7 brew already. The pup got a pup cup. The shed is almost ready to go, so we'll be switching up the scenery again. I'll be able to do more production behind the scenes than I can right now with a split image on one monitor. So excited for that. James, how are you?
Man, I'm doing good. Nothing as sweet as another mock draft other than maybe a strawberry flavored Alani. So always down for one of these suckers, that's for sure. This is an exciting day, guys. We're getting real close. We're less than 2 weeks away from the NFL draft. We're going to have boots on the ground with Cody there in person. We're going to do some in-studio action here as well the whole weekend long, going live for every single pick. That's right. You'll see us on Facebook, on YouTube, going live for every single one. Might just be me, might be me and Nick. We'll see if Cody and Joe can join at certain times. Cody might be able to get us close to the stage. If he can sneak his way up there, we'll go live there too. So we're going to have some fun with this and hope many of you can join us on this journey.
Yeah. We're excited. Before we get too far into Jill's mock draft and mock mania as it continues on the show, if you guys have been here for the whole series so far, congratulations. You've witnessed a lot of mayhem and a lot of crazy picks and maybe someone who chose a lot of other guys' picks. Either way, we are excited. We're going to talk OTAs first and then pre-draft visits. OTAs are in the building, which if you didn't know, that's optional training camp, basically.
Team activities.
But none of it's been mandatory up to this point. So OTAs have started, and TJ, Cam, and Broderick Jones, among many others, in attendance, which is amazing to see. Broderick most specifically. Obviously, we're excited TJ and Cam, being the veterans in the building, are coming back for the optional things. But Broderick Jones has been the big question mark on that offensive line of what that injury is going to look like and is he going to play. So big impact there.
And I believe we were able to confirm that he did a little bit of running as well, which shows that he's getting back into form as well. So at the very least, starting to participate in not necessarily full-on football, but at least in the road to that recovery, which is a positive sign and makes a lot of other teams, as we come up to the draft here, have to wonder, what is Pittsburgh going to do with that first-round pick? It gives a little bit more mystery of, okay, Broderick might be coming back. They haven't really given a determination on how they feel about him, on if he's the guy. They haven't really spoken on the left tackle position that much at all, as much as they have on the left guard position. And so it gives a little bit more of that smoke and mirrors that comes along with this time of the year to say, hey, what are they going to do with that pick? And with the moves in free agency, there's not as much urgency at some spots of the line. And McCarthy in press conferences has put confidence in some of the guys already on the roster for some of those bigger question marks on this team. So you really don't know who are they going to go with in this first round. I'm excited to see who Jill takes, but I'm also excited with Broderick's recovery going well because it gives us more ammunition to be able to either trade up or back or have somebody to jump us to be able to go get a guy that might be a guy that they want, that they think we might draft, or have somebody jump ahead even further to try and get a guy they think we might go after. So it really does give Pittsburgh a good spot with 12 draft picks and all this question marks at who they're going to take to be able to go out and do some big things in the draft.
Yeah, absolutely. Joe, you got any takes on any of this OTA activity?
Well, I mean, I like the fact that we're seeing Cam and TJ. That speaks to the fact that, captains, come on now. So leaders in the room, we like seeing that they're in the building. I am hopeful about Broderick Jones. We like hearing that he is on the road to recovery, even though we know I'm not his biggest fan. I still actually am happy that his health is coming along and that he's able to, show some football and skills again. We like that. And then I can't wait to talk more draft stuff because there's so many different speculations and things. And I'll kind of go into what I was thinking with round one. It's not an unfamiliar name, and nobody will be surprised at who I pick at number one. But
yeah, I love all this stuff, man. We start getting into the OTAs here, and like a couple of you alluded to, it's so important that your leaders are leading from the front. So seeing Cam running wind sprints with people and TJ in there doing deadlifts with the guys. This is very important stuff. And it's been such a huge question mark this offseason. Where's Broderick at? Is Broderick even going to be able to play this season? Great sign in the right direction of him just running on the field. We didn't know if we'd even see him this early in the process. So that's a great indication for where he is in the healing and recovery process. In a lot of like what Nick was alluding to, this just gives you more options in every round. You don't necessarily have to prioritize left tackle if your returning left tackle is healthy and the guy that backed them up last year played well and he's coming back too.
Yep.
So you don't necessarily have to go out and get an offensive tackle in the first or second round. But that doesn't mean you're not going to do it to upgrade the position either. So options are everything, and you want to go into the draft with all your options on the table and every position already settled if you can, and then you're just upgrading stuff in the draft. So you want to have at least adequate level dudes going into it.
I feel like the "if you can" was a slight remark at the quarterback situation, maybe.
Go ahead, left guard too, Yeah. Yeah, I don't think any of us is looking at that situation with Brock Hoffman and Spencer Anderson and saying, man, I love that. I don't hate it. It could be a lot worse, but I don't love it.
Could be. I mean, Spencer Anderson proved his worth last season, in my opinion. He's so reliable. You can plug him in essentially anywhere and trust that he's going to do his job. Mm-hmm. I mean, is it the best, like number one, we want him there all the time? No, but knowing that he's there as a solid backup and does what he needs to do is exactly why somebody like Spencer Anderson is on our team. He's reliable and consistent, exactly what we need in a backup. So again, it proves Nick's point of like, we're not pinned into a corner saying we have to at this pick trade up and make sure we're ahead of this team so that we get this player. I mean, I could see the Steelers doing that. I could see them trading back. I feel like there's a lot of options at play, and anything we will predict probably won't happen. I think we're all going to be surprised at some point with what the con artist does.
And that's a good point too, though, Joe, because when you are in that position, you don't have to reach for a guy. You can go and grab the best player available. And like James said, upgrade a position that might not be the caliber of player that you want. You can grab those blue chip guys to be elevating your play, elevating your team, elevating your roster. And then you don't have to worry about, I'm going to take a swing and a miss at a position that we absolutely have to have a guy for.
Right.
Yeah. And speaking of best player available, next week, not this week, we will be doing a mini pod episode in the middle of the week that talks about who might be available at each round and who we would pick, or maybe at least the first round. We might go into more than that. But that'll be a fun one for next week, just highlighting that. Do you guys want to talk a little bit about the guys that came in?
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget to check out our mini podcasts. We started them up last week. We're going to try to commit to doing Tuesday and Thursday releases on those. Just some additional content for you guys, focusing right now on previous mock drafts. We did the 2024 and the 2025 season reviews, mock draft reviews this last week. So 23 and 22 will be coming up this upcoming week. So check those out. Also, big influx for us for downloads and followers on the audio platform. Video's been doing real well for us on YouTube as well. So we appreciate every single one of you. If there's any new listeners listening to this show and you have never given us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, it's something that we highly value and greatly appreciate. It does help bring more people into the show. They see those reviews and they say, hey, these guys might not be so bad. and then they give us a shot, and then there's more of you. And then the more of you there are, the more things we can do for you. So,
yep. And we give you a shout out.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I know this can sound like a broken record for a lot of different channels, but please do, if you can, if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy listening to us, subscribe. It's free, and it's a very cheap way of being able to assist the show. It really helps bolster us, get our stuff out there. You're currently listening to one of the top 5 Steelers podcasts, according to one certain website out there that ranks Steelers podcasts. So we appreciate you all for being here. And if you could give us a subscribe and a follow on all of the platforms, it really helps us out.
Absolutely. So let's start with the biggest guy in the pre-draft visitors, size-wise anyway. Travis Burt comes in, the offensive tackle out of Memphis, for a pre-draft visit. This was something that was rumored before my mock last week, which was part of the reason that I did that, but he's officially come in. So this is somebody who would be expected to be more of a mid-round pick, but with his 6'8", almost 6'9" frame, 325 plus pounds, this is a dude that you would love to have as a versatile offensive tackle piece that can play either side, maybe develop into a future starter. I love seeing a name like that come in. So any thoughts on him from any of you, or you want to go burn through the list and then Kylan highlight some people?
No, we could chat about it. I think this was a guy that I almost mocked in previous drafts. I didn't, and then you did, and I was like, at least somebody got him, because I did want him originally. But good size. This is exciting because, again, the Broderick Jones question mark, this is a good guy that could come in and have immediate competition for that starting role, even from a mid-round guy, because of the question marks in the air with the injury. So, good visit.
Well, the dude's powerful. He is explosive and just, I think, a dominant force on that O-line. And so I feel like in this year's draft, it's so unique where a lot of quality people are in the mid rounds. That's where you're building your depth and your quality pieces. And so seeing somebody like Travis Burke, getting him in the mid round would be great for the Steelers.
Yeah, but even with 12 picks, there's only so many guys you can grab, and there's a lot of value at certain positions in this draft. And I do honestly, as we've been going throughout this season, this particular iteration of the NFL draft, think that tackle is one of those positions. There's a lot of depth pieces you can get later on. They might not be the most elite guy, but a lot of that can be coached, and we've talked about it time and time again on the pod. We have a lot of O-line coaches on the Steelers team. Even our running backs coach has O-line coach experience. So to have all those guys on there to be able to mold some of these later round guys, you don't feel terrible, especially with Broderick coming back, about taking a mid to late round flyer on a tackle. Even and half the time it doesn't even feel like a flyer depending on the prospect. So if you're watching on YouTube and you see me duck away for a minute, I just found a centipede in my office, so I'm going to be taking care of that real quick.
Somebody who's quick enough to take care of centipedes real well is the next guy, Harold Perkins, middle linebacker coming in out of LSU. He's 6'1", 223, so quicker than more powerful when it comes to a linebacker. Oh gosh, he's using a dumbbell.
Oh no,
that centipede's in trouble.
Oh
no. But yeah, this is somebody who was rumored to be someone that was going to come in. He comes in. There's been a number of middle linebackers. I think we've got success. Nick's pumping that dumbbell around like he's got that centipede's number. So a lot of these middle linebackers they've been bringing in have been some of the smaller types, which the NFL hasn't had a whole lot of success with these guys, and it's kind of going away from that. So it's a weird one to me, but you got to figure a guy this size probably be a killer on special teams.
Yeah, I mean, Harold Perkins ran a 4.38 to a 4.40 at his pro day, which was just blazing fast speed, along with the 20 reps on the bench. So that's a kind of, when you talk about clay, that's a really athletic piece of clay that you can probably turn into anything, especially special teams. You have to imagine that would be instant starter. Like that would take over any starter that you had out there, that would take over that in the aspect of being able to really make some differences on special teams. But the only concern with him is the ACL tear in 2024. But Pittsburgh, I mean, Peyton Wilson, we didn't shy away from that once he found out he didn't even have one.
Yeah.
And so this could be a lump of clay guy that I think would be fun to bring in. But again, this is the craziest draft I think we've been a part of, James, at least me and you, since we've started the show, because of the number of picks and the different ways that this team can go. It's going to be so fun to watch.
I'm starting to wonder if maybe some of these smaller, quicker linebackers that they're looking at are maybe conversion projects. Maybe they're looking at these guys as possible strong safety solutions long term. I don't know, because that's a blazing speed for a linebacker. But guys that size, like the name that jumps out to mind for me anytime I see a linebacker that's 215, 222 pounds is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah for the Browns. He came into the league and he's just been hurt every single year, and he's already retired. And he was only in the league for like 4 years. He's just too small to make it in the NFL at middle linebacker. So that's the part that's frustrating for me to get past, is if we're not switching to a 4-3 where you have 2 defensive tackles in the middle to try to protect these guys. It's tough for me to see a path for them to succeed at middle linebacker at that small of a size. But the athleticism, that's a monster at the strong safety position if he can make the transition.
Well, I was going to say, like, I almost mocked him simply because my mock draft, I was telling the guys earlier, my mock draft is very pre-draft visit heavy, which is something I had asked, like, Cody about, like, what's the percentage of, like, the Steelers when they have their pre-draft visit, like, how weighty is that when you're going to mock a draft? But so I almost had him in there for the fact that he can be such an elite pass rusher, and like his pursuit is relentless. And so having something like that where your pursuit is that well done, that is exactly what I was thinking with special teams. I'm like, man, he could gun on special teams then, like, but being that size, I was a little, so I did not mock him to my draft. So there you go. There's a little teaser. I do not have him on my draft as one of my 12 picks, but I considered him as one.
I do really enjoy the comparison Cody drew to Peyton Wilson with the injury concern, especially because he seems to be a full year removed from that ACL injury, and the play seems to be trending back in the right direction. So if he can continue to build upon that recovery, continue to build upon the production, continue to return to form from that injury, would be a stellar pick, and a guy that's falling down a lot of draft boards because of that injury could be a great value pick again for the Steelers at the linebacker position.
So real quick, just to throw some numbers at you guys in quick math, the last 10 years, it's somewhere between 65 and 80% of top 30 visits Pittsburgh drafted. And then after that, any in-person contact, Pittsburgh has drafted between 80 and 95% of those players.
Wow.
Now,
in the last 10 years.
So
one grain of salt,
80% of the players they drafted were ones that came.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the one grain of salt you have to take with that is it's a whole new coaching staff. I mean, Granted, we've still got Khan, we've still got Weidel, so that part of the piece of the puzzle hasn't changed. So there might be a little bit of a shift in that, but you have to figure that they're not going to overhaul the entire team identity just because we have a new coaching staff. Like, McCarthy's a Pittsburgh guy. He wants Pittsburgh to have that same style of play. So you have to figure, despite the fact that the offense is going to look different, which thank God, you have to figure that it's not going to be reinventing the wheel here. So probably a very similar number to that, even if it goes up or down a little bit from those previous 10 years.
Yeah, even with us not knowing for sure how McCarthy's going to do things, you don't bring a guy in if you're not interested.
Right.
So I love that about it. And in the next guy here, another one that when you look at the size, weight, speed profile, it fits a lot of what Pittsburgh likes to do. It's a cornerback. It's Malik Muhammad. And this gentleman at the combine was 6 foot tall, 182 pounds, great length at a 32 3/8 inch arm length, a 4.42 40, a 1.51 10-yard split, a 39-inch vertical, a 10-10 broad, extremely good athletic numbers, great length, good size, not elite size, not bad size, but very good size. If that's someone you can develop into a future starting corner, he's got the requisite athleticism and fantastic length. So
now here's a guy. He doesn't remind me of Patrick Mahomes. But he does, like James just said, really fit the bill of a corner that I think we would take, and a guy that, excuse me, I've mocked several times because I like to do mock drafts 24/7, and I'm doing them in my sleep. But he is a guy that I would like to see us take as a value pick later on if we don't go corner early, and I don't think we need to. We talked about the needs being rather fluid for Pittsburgh this year, despite the fact that there are some holes on this roster. It's not like you need to address any specific one of them in the first round. So being able to get quality guys is huge. And I think that Muhammad is a guy that I'm glad we brought in for a visit to get to know more about him. And if we take him, I wouldn't be upset.
I'm not going to speak too much.
Foreshadowing, maybe.
It might be a little bit of foreshadow.
Oh no!
So
the leak has begun.
There's a little bit. At least you have one.
My industry sources are telling me that Jill may be mocking Muhammad to the Steelers.
Be mocking this guy to the Steelers.
Possible.
So.
It seems very, very possible. In other recent mocks, the Emmanuel McNeil Warren came in for a pre-draft visit as well. If you were watching our show last week or listening to it, you saw that I mocked him in the first round of the Steelers. So this is one of the top 3 safeties in the draft, in my opinion and in many people's opinion. A very tall, rangy, athletic dude with a nose for the football. Gets a lot of turnovers, forces a lot of turnovers, and definitely someone not to be overlooked as a possibility in the first round. If you were somehow there in the second round, I don't see any scenario that Pittsburgh would pass on him. But could be going back to Toledo for another pick. And there haven't been a lot of these pre-draft visitors that have come in so far that we would consider as a group, or a lot of people would consider first-round capable guys. And this is going to be one of them, along with the next one that we're going to get to in a minute.
Yeah, kudos to you, James, for getting that in before the pre-draft visit took place. I mean, there were some rumblings that it may have, but definitely one of those top 3 guys in that safety class, and one of only a couple that are really given that first round grade. Some people argue that he's not in there. Some people argue that Thieneman's not in there, which is shocking.
That is shocking.
But hey, it was the top mock drafter in the country. So when you figure Schrager doesn't have Thieneman in the first round and McNeil Warren's ahead of him, you figure the kid can play. So you love to see a guy like that be on this team, be able to be the player that he already is, but also sit behind Jalen Ramsey for a year potentially, and other guys on this roster like Deshaun Elliott, and we've just brought in Brisker. So you'd be really confident in your safety room with a guy like McNeil Warren on the team. So love the pre-draft visit.
Well, and we talked about how there's question marks at safety, specifically when it goes beyond 2027.
Yeah.
So drafting safety within the first couple of rounds, I think, is what we should expect out of the Steelers. And so looking at like who's coming for the pre-draft visit, if I was looking at first round with this makes me believe they're leaning more towards the safety at the first round versus a wide receiver. But everybody wants a wide receiver in the first round, and I don't see that. But I like the guy that came in for a pre-draft visit, though. I will say that. And if he falls to us, I don't know. I do like him. I'm not going to lie. Anyway.
Yeah, and what's not to like about Mekhi Lemon, right?
Yeah.
And that's the next one that we're kind of alluding to here. Mekhi Lemon coming in the same day as Emmanuel McNeil Warren. This is one of the top wide receivers in this draft class. Not gifted with the same physical traits that you would hope for in a first-round dude. He's 5'11", 192 pounds. Didn't run at the combine, but at his pro day was reported as low as like a 4.4, 6 or 7, I think. So that means he's got good speed to him. There's some question marks regarding what was going on during his interview at the combine, his press conference when he was behind the podium. His eyes were kind of wandering all over the place. He looked a little bit off. But outside of that, the tape's awesome on the kid. He's a great route runner. He's got great hands. He works really hard. He fights for every ball. So I think as far as a player comes, he might be number one in this class at the wide receiver position. Everybody seems to have different boards in it, but the common consensus is that his tape is incredible.
Looking up, looks like the official time on him was a 4.46, and they also highlight his ability to run various routes. So definitely a guy who can scheme himself open as well as use his speed to get himself there. And really a great prospect, as James mentioned, a bit of an oddball, but Pittsburgh is not known from shying away from oddball receivers. So hopefully this is finally the one that sticks around for a little while and works out well for us if we do end up going after him. Unlikely that he'll fall to us, so you might have to go up and get him if he's sliding down boards a little bit. But, Mike McCarthy likes to run a lot of 3 receiver sets, and if you can get another elite guy out there, if you have DK Pittman and Lemon out there, you're no longer talking about Pittsburgh's wide receiver room as the issue on this team. And we talked about it a little bit towards the end of the year last year. If you have a solid team built around your quarterback, you don't need to have the most elite quarterback in the world on your roster. You saw Sam Darnold out there with Rashid Shaheed and JSN and Cooper Kupp, and that solid receiver core plus Kenneth Walker, who's a great running back, were able to – I mean, obviously the defense was lights out too, but that's what Pittsburgh has been known for is solid defense, and then the offense has just been a little bit behind. If we can get our offense to play at the same level as the defense, and with 2 solid running backs in the room and a good third and fourth guy on that roster as well that shows some promise and some ceiling and upside, we could be talking about this Pittsburgh team this coming year in the same vein that Seattle was talked about last year, and it would be a really exciting thing. So you don't figure this is going to be the pick, but with all the capital that we've got, it could be. We could see Omar move up to get him, or he could slide down boards and something happens in that regard. Maybe other teams are a bit weirded out by him being a little interesting. So we'll see how that all plays out, and it's going to be really exciting to see if Jill feels the same way with her mock draft.
We'll see, I guess.
Only time will tell. So let's get this last one out of the way so we can get over to the important stuff, which is Jill's second mock of the season here. Last person reported with those folks was Marlon Klein, a tight end out of Michigan that I really haven't heard a whole lot about. So I'll just be honest with you on that. He's 6'6", 248, good arm length at 32 3/8. Ran a 4.61 40-yard dash at the combine with good jumps on a 36-inch vert, 9.9 on the broad. So looks like the requisite size that you're hoping for in a guy that's probably an all-around dude. Usually these Michigan guys don't come out with astronomical receiving numbers because they don't use them too much. It's kind of like Ohio State.
24 catches, 248 yards, 1 touchdown.
Yeah, the Ohio State guys don't get the ball thrown to them at tight end either. So not a surprise there, but I would expect him to have probably a well-rounded game.
Yeah. I mean, he looks like just like what you said, James, well-rounded, where he's physical so he can be on the field for blocking, but he also has that option to develop as a receiver. So interesting pick, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Something else that is well-rounded is a place to go eat, has a lot of options. You guys should check out the hotel bar, Edinburgh Hotel Bar.
Support for the Steelers by the Lake podcast is provided by the Edinburgh Hotel Bar, a family-friendly, smoke-free establishment located at 100 Meadville Street in Edinburgh. They offer lunch, dinner, and catering services with private party accommodations available for up to 75 people. Details are available at edinburghhotelbar.com.
The Edinburgh Hotel Bar, somewhere I miss going. I don't get to go there as often now, which is sad, but maybe someday again. But something I'm not sad about, we now get to hear another mock draft. So
here we go.
It is Jill's time.
Let's go. Number 1.
Jill, the microphone is all yours. Let's go.
With pick number 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers are drafting a guard out of Penn State. Ione. I have liked this guy since day one, and when Nick took him, I was like, I just think out of all of the positions in the first round that are available, if he can fall to us, which is likely, this is the direction we need to go. With Sam Alou being gone, we need to fill this gap, and this fits the bill perfectly. He is 6'4", 326 pounds, 32 3/4 inch arms, 10.5 inch hands, 31.5 vertical, and an 8.8 broad. He has not allowed any sacks over the last 2 seasons that he's played. Chef's kiss. We love that. He is incredibly strong with his hands. He uses his hands for the pass rush. He is a bully, as James likes to say. We love pancakes here. And this man is quite the pancake eater right here. Like, he is just so physical. I think exactly what we need for whoever the question mark is at quarterback at this point. We think it's Rodgers. Rodgers has a quick release, but if it's not, and we have to go with a rookie quarterback, having somebody like Ione on the line to just absolutely bully these defenders is the clear pick in my mind.
So you all know how I feel about Ione, and one of the reasons that put me there is, do you know how athletic you have to be a 300+ pound guard that they were able to line up at slot receiver on some of these plays here? They had him lining up and going in motion as a slot receiver. He has allowed zilch, not a sacks for the last 2 years. You can't say enough about the guy. We've highlighted the clip where he's helping the staffer out who was struggling to push some equipment after a tough loss.
Yep.
You can't say enough about this guy. And as a fellow Penn State fan with James in solidarity here, you can't say enough about bringing another Nittany Lion to the Steelers, especially one of this caliber. And Cody's got the clip up here for us. Hops over that little wall there like it's nothing and goes out and helps that staffer. Just could have been in his head, could have been, thinking about the loss, going over plays in his head. Instead had the wherewithal to go out and help somebody who was having a bit of a struggle as well. So really good character guy. I hope and pray that he falls to us and does not get picked up by the Ratbirds, because I'd have to root against him twice a year, and I just don't want to have to do that.
Well, and this is something that I was thinking about when it came to this first pick, because there are multiple ways that the Ravens at 14 could technically take him or a wide receiver, both, which are the positions that we also need, which is so infuriating. And so shout out Steelers Depot, because we love the thorough work they do over there. But there is potential with Patrick Queen trade still in talks with Dallas, that is still on the board, that if we could trade, involve a trade with Patrick Queen, trade 12 and 21 and maybe one of our 3rd round picks, if we absolutely wanted, knew Ione was the guy, trade up to spot 12 and make sure we get him. Mm-hmm. So I don't know who else I'd want in the 1st round if it wasn't somebody like Thieneman. Those are the 2 first round guys that I'm like, if they're there, we're running to the podium and saying that's who we want. Everybody else, I'm like, I'd be underwhelmed if that was a 1st round pick. So
yeah,
I feel you.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, so to me, this is one of the dudes in this draft that seems like one of the safest picks. Mm-hmm. It's a guy that's going to be a huge upgrade right away, day one, if you sign him. And I love the video that Cody just showed everybody here. If you're watching on YouTube, you should be. If you're not, of him helping that staffer push that cart. It's up a hill. It looks like a real heavy cart. Some people's instincts are just to help others. Yeah. And to see that from somebody like that, who's also such a menace on the field. Clearly, once he's done with his football career, he could be a waiter with all these pancakes he's serving up. It's just, I love it. I love everything about this dude's game. On talk of the 0 sacks that you guys mentioned the last 2 years, this last season he also allowed 0 pressures. Mm-hmm. So that's even more unheard of. Usually you let somebody get close enough for it to count as a pressure. I mean, this dude is just impenetrable as a pass blocker, and his athleticism makes him just a unique skill set and talent in the run blocking game too. So Isaac Seumalo was a good guard for Pittsburgh. 2 years ago he went to the Pro Bowl. This is an immediate huge upgrade over Isaac Seumalo if you're able to land him in the 1st round. in one of the few people in this draft that if Pittsburgh were to get the opportunity to get him, it's a celebration, man. It's a home run. I'm ecstatic. I'll probably end up losing my voice and have nothing left for day 3 if we get a big Ione in a first.
Roll it, send us all home. We're good. Thank you. We got Vega.
That's it. I don't need the other 11 picks. This is a success.
Whoever gets picked after that does not matter. The draft grade is an A.
Draft grade is an A.
Yep.
1,000,000 points. Yes.
Absolutely. But who are you following it up with, Joe? We got a second round from you.
All
here.
right. Following it up with pick number 53, I am going with a wide receiver in Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. He is 6'1", 206 pounds, 9 7/8 inch, or that's his hand, 33/8 arm length. He ran a 4.48, 32.5 vert, 10.5 broad, 6.7 cone, and a 4.31 shuttle with a 152 10-yard split. My appeal to him, one, he's a pre-draft visitor. So that's why I was like, all right, got to take some interest in him here. He is another physical receiver, which fits very well into the room with Metcalf and it fits with Pittman. And so what I like about that is it's not predictable. Whereas like Calvin Austin was your small, quick guy. And so, if he's on the field, he's not roughing up some defender. You've got Bernard, Pittman, and Metcalf. They're going to mess somebody up. So one of them, the other two are going to knock somebody out. You don't know what you're getting with all 3 of them on the field. And I like the creativity that could spark in our offense. And especially with this new offensive regime, I'm like, all right, we get some bully ball and some receivers. Like, this is great. What I also like is that he's very reliable with his hands, even in contested catches. And then while he's not exactly the fastest guy, he understands defenses well, and he'll sit in places to where he knows he's going to get the ball. And so I like that IQ to work, even though he's not like I can't be the deep ball guy the whole time, but like he can sit in a zone and know that he'll get the ball and he'll go after it with his physicality. So I think it could be, especially if we're not going for wide receiver in the first round, which I don't want to do that anyway, because you think about wide receivers in the first round, we already have 1 and 2. We're looking for 3 right now, at least. And so I think this guy is a great 3 with the potential to become a 2 in the future. Again, I just love how physical he is. He contested catch, reliable hands, and he's physical.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is, and I almost drafted a taller receiver in one of my mocks as well, but you always want to think about the small, fast guy. Mm-hmm. Why not throw 3 massive guys out there that you have to prepare for as if they're going to run and bully ball right over top of you? Why not throw 3 strong guys out there and not worry about the speed, because these guys are fast enough as it is? Maybe when you do that and you include Pat Freiermuth and Darnell Washington, maybe you don't need the speed on the field. Maybe you have so much size and strength that you just absolutely bully every other team. And this is a guy that I think has enough speed and enough quickness and agility to kind of look faster on tape than maybe he is on paper. But I love the pick. I love early wide receiver. I'm not saying I don't enjoy late receivers too.
Right.
But I feel like it's been a while since Pittsburgh's invested a high draft pick. I mean, what draft was Roman Wilson? What round?
Third.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, top 2. I'm curious when the last time we drafted a wide receiver in the top 2.
George Pickens. George Pickens.
And George Pickens were both second rounders. Yeah.
Okay. Second rounders. So there you go. And both of those guys were good while they were Steelers. And
that's true.
One of them has been good since. So
yeah, I mean, Juju went to the Pro Bowl. George Pickens, I'm sure, was a Pro Bowler last year. Like, they've had good success in the second round. And hats off to Jill. This is literally a guy that fits the exact average like height, weight of what Mike McCarthy likes in a wide receiver. Yep. Right? That study that Steelers Depot did landed on like right around 6'1", 203, 204. That's about what this kid is, a little over 6'1", 206 pounds. From what I'm seeing on the tape here, runs like a running back with the ball in his hands. I love that. Yeah. I love that. The fact that he's shifty, he's got that ability to just make somebody miss in a small area, but also run through arm tackles. Looks like they used him in a lot of gadget plays in Alabama. Versatile dude. Looks like he could be a wide receiver option as throwing the ball also on a fun gadget play. So I like having that as an option. I think that the ceiling is absolutely somebody who could develop into a starter for you. In fact, in my mocks, I had him in the second round multiple times before deciding to go a different direction. So not someone who ended up in my final copy on any of mine, but was a heavy consideration for me in the second round because he is so polished. There's not really he doesn't do this part of his game very well. I mean, the speed, 4.46 is good. Like, that's not elite, but it's certainly not slow. Good size. Like, everything about this kid's game screams it will translate to the NFL and translate at a very good level, if not even better than a very good level. So I'd be very happy with this as a pick. And then I think that your 1-2-3 wide receiver combination is going to get some real serious consideration for some of the best in the league if you enter a guy like this into the room.
Yeah, and I like the overview of the analysis that Zerline did for his combine profile. Mentions how he has experience and full route trees at all 3 wide receiver positions. So he's got that versatility along the line, so you can mix things up with DK and Pittman and kind of disguise what you're going to do. And he compares him to Bobby Trees in terms of a NFL comparison. And Robert Woods had a pretty solid career throughout the league. Granted, bounced around a little bit, but was really solid as a young player in the league. So this makes me feel like we have a lot of what I view Cincinnati has in their receiving core. They have the top two guys who are really, really solid, and then they've got a couple of guys on the back of the roster who can contribute in big ways when those 2 guys are taking the attention away. So you get a guy like this in there who can then take the top off the defense if the other 2 are getting a little bit more pressure or a little bit more harassed. And you're like, okay, well, now we got to focus on him, but now DK's open, now Pittman. So the defenses aren't going to know who to cover, what to do, and that gives us a great opportunity to really open up the offense.
Yeah. All right. Pick number 76, we're going to the third round here, is a name that we talked about earlier in the show. We are going to the cornerback room. We are going to Texas and getting Malik Muhammad. So James already rattled off his stats, so I'm not going to waste time doing that. But what I really like is in high school, he was actually a 3-sport athlete, and he has track background. So he's quick, and he uses that to his advantage in his play. I mean, he can cover ground like nothing. So even if there's like misstep or miscommunication, he uses his length and his speed to cover ground quickly. And then he also brings a lot of effort to his play. Like, it is just very, I feel like he plays with his heart, which is cliche to say, but when we've watched before on the field, when you can tell a guy's not in it and their play absolutely suffers, and he plays with his heart. And so the effort is just impeccable. And again, with those long strides, he is all over that field and can cover ground so quickly. He also can read quarterbacks pretty well. And then he uses his length to disrupt receivers. So even like the length that he can use is like, oh, I can go this way. Just kidding. I can go this way. Like, and so receivers are like, is he going to get to me? Yeah, he is actually. So, what I think he does well though, is he will beat receivers by getting to the top of their route before they do. And that's how he's beating a lot of them. So.
Yeah, I like this guy, man. This is some nice tape on this kid. Ike Taylor's been working really hard in this offseason. We've seen him show up at a lot of these pro days, and he's working out corners left and right. So we know Pittsburgh's going to draft one. Otherwise, Ike's working for absolutely nothing. He's putting a lot of these kids through the drills, too, at these pro days. So I think this is a real nice possibility with a kid like this who could easily develop into a future starter for you opposite Joey Porter Jr. And for his size, that's really good length on him. You know, I know we touched on that previously. Above 32 inches on a guy that's only 6 foot is not a common thing. So that just helps him immensely with that jam at the line of scrimmage. And what you're seeing a lot of these highlights where he is right next to the receiver and then reaches over to swat the ball out. That's a lot tougher to do when you got short arms. He does not have that. He's got plenty of length, which is a huge asset for a corner.
And even right here, if you're watching on YouTube, this is him going up against Zachariah Branch, a guy that we've talked about a lot, being speedy and agile, and he just squares up with him and doesn't let him go anywhere. So awesome pick. I love the fact that he's also not shy from contact. A lot of times you'll get corners that are fast and quick, but they're not willing to take a hit, or they're not willing to blitz. We've already seen him get a QB sack. We've already seen him come up and play running backs in the hole. This is a guy that you're going to see potentially play in the slot and really just wreak havoc. I would love to see him come in and be a rotational piece with the obviously we got Dean in there now. He could come in and be a playmaker immediately. And out of a round 3 guy, that's a good pick.
Mm-hmm.
Well said, gentlemen. No notes.
All right. Pick number, where do we at? 85. I am taking one. I think Cody mocked him first. Did you mock? I don't remember who mocked him first, but he's been mocked before on this show. It is Darrell Jackson Jr., the tackle out of Florida State. 6'5".
I'll take credit for that one.
Oh, sorry, Nick. Good job. You did it. 6'5", 315, 34 3/4 inch arms, 11-inch hands, 26.5 vert. This is what we've been talking about with needing a nose tackle, and he is a true nose tackle. What I love, there's no injury background with him. He racked up 129. This is his season, 129 or career, 129 tackles, 12 tackles for loss, and 7.5 sacks. This guy's an immediate run stopper. We've talked briefly about how the NFL pendulum switches, where we go from like run heavy offenses to pass heavy offenses. And it looks like the trend is swinging back towards we're shutting down the pass so well, we're going back to running. And I think this guy will just make it absolutely impossible for anybody to run anywhere. He will immediately stop it. What I like is that his arms can work independently of each other, which is unique to watch, where it's like he can be over here, but then like this arm's doing something else, which shows up on the tape. Like, I love it. He's over here knocking this guy over while he's still going for the target. Like, that is just incredible effort and what we need on our defensive end. So, defensive line.
Absolutely. And this is why you should tune into us all year round, because after the East-West Shrine game, when we talked about people that stuck out from it, this is a guy that I said when we watched the tape. Now, he didn't play in the East-West Shrine game, but the practices from that week, he was dominant. He has very strong, very violent hands, which is huge for a defensive lineman. The prototypical size of what Pittsburgh looks for in a defensive end, with the ability to play some D tackle as well. You're in nickel so often that your D ends become D tackles at that point. But the size in frame just kind of reminds me of like a Stephon Tuitt type. He just moves way too well for a guy that big. And I want our future defensive linemen to be guys with these quick, violent hands that can win quickly and get after the quarterback a little bit too. And that's definitely something that you saw in the one-on-one drills, because he participated in them at the East-West Shrine game. Then he went to the Senior Bowl and did one-on-one drills there too, which is a rare thing that you get that call up. He did, because of how well he did in those drills. Didn't end up playing in either game, but was awesome in the drills in both games. So I would love to have this guy as a future Pittsburgh Steeler. And I am very happy to see both you and Nick mock him in your drafts.
Probably a top 5 defensive lineman in stack and shed ability. So love that out of such a technically late pick. When you're talking top 5 in anything, getting somebody later in the 3rd round is a great thing. This is a guy that, again, comes in and probably starting year 2 or 3. I mean, Cam comes back, that delays certain things, but we're not rushing Cam out the door. But this allows you to be relieved when he does go, that you have somebody ready to step up. So I love the pick.
Well, and like a true nose tackle, because we've talked about the question marks. Like, is it going to be YA Black? Well, like, is it Benton? Who knows? And now this assures us where we can put in the nose tackle and still keep Benton and Black, like as true tackles instead of like putting them right at the nose. So
Yeah.
And like Cody said, not rushing Cam out the door either, but you still have to prepare for when he does eventually decide to hang up the cleats and say that's a career. And this is a guy who can sit behind him, who can push YA Black to be better. Even if he's not the guy, he pushes the other guys to do better around him too. And he's just unmovable. Like he doesn't have like the same speed as some of the other guys we've talked about, but he is just unmovable, and he's going to push and he'll get a sack or two every now and then as well. So it's a solid, literally a solid human being, but also a solid pick too.
Iron sharpens iron, right? That's what they say about this. So you give YA Black competition like this on the second wave of defensive linemen coming in, and you don't have to be as worried about at the end of that drive when my starting defensive linemen are all tired and my second unit comes in. Oh gosh, there goes Loudermilk getting his butt kicked again. Nope, not anymore. Now you got YA Black, you got Darrell Jackson Jr., and they're not getting moved either. So I love bringing in a third-round defensive lineman to really shore up this room and just create a big old fight. Who's going to be the guy that takes over when Cam Hayward retires? It's going to happen eventually. And can't play forever. So let's get some guys out there, train them up, and see who can be the best man for the job.
Yeah. All right. Pick number 99 is the same from my first mock draft.
Ooh.
Went with the safety out of Penn State, Zakee Wheatley. I just really like him. So I'm bringing him back. I hope we get him. He is such a solid third round pick. He's 6'2", 203 pounds, 9.5-inch hands, 31-inch arms. He did 32.5 vertical and then 10.2 broad. The one thing that I really loved about him that I said in the first time that I'll say it again, 0 penalties. And in his career, no penalties, which incredible. He is excellent size for his position. I just am getting distracted watching him. This is great. What I like about him is that he played free safety, which is what we need. So I think having that, he's got great gap awareness. He's the downhill gunner. So even if he's not immediately being the rotational piece at safety, he could have value at special teams. Put him in his depth. I think we're solid. And especially with safeties only being 1-year deals and not knowing what's beyond 2027, this just feels like a clear pick in my mind. Even though he's not on the pre-draft list, I really like him, so I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes Pittsburgh's the players they draft that aren't from pre-draft visits sometimes are often guys that are close to home because they get so much, hands-on visualization of, I'm sure that guys are going to Penn State games often. One, scouts are watching teams that come into Penn State, and then two, because of that, because it's so close, they're probably seeing this guy very often. So maybe there's a chance they're sold on, hey, if this guy's available at a certain spot, that's the guy we want. If they don't address, if Thieneman doesn't fall to us, I'd be shocked if Thieneman's there. We don't draft Thieneman.
Right.
But this is a guy that they may have their eyes on, but they know they don't need to see any more than they already have. And that's the one area of deception that we could potentially do. A lot of teams sometimes will not talk to players they're interested in and then go draft them because they don't want other teams to know they're interested. There's a potential that this has that written all over it. But again, the no penalties is just absolutely impressive. In a game that seems to be favoring the offense more and more in both collegiate level and the NFL, to have a guy in the secondary, especially with the number of times they're in pass breakup positions or, trying to take down a running back and not getting a horse collar or face mask, whatever. This guy has to be incredibly disciplined to have that stat as a no penalty. So love the pick.
You also have to consider the guys that are on your roster too, who might be pulling for you to draft a guy like that. You got the Joey Porter Jr. connection, now the Jaquan Brisker connection. Pat Fryermuth went to Penn State. So Pittsburgh is not shy about drafting Penn State players. And when your secondary is already made up of a number of Penn State players, you might get some of those guys in your ear saying, hey, let's bring in this guy. I mean, you saw Nate Herbig pull for his brother, and that ended up bringing Nick to Pittsburgh. So you might even see some people from the same school pulling for a prospect who's also in the secondary along with them. They might not have played with him. I think they're a little bit too far removed from the Penn State to have played alongside Wheatley, but they could still potentially have spoken to him with their connections to the school, seen his play, and still might pull for him. So you might get some of that element in there too. And I like this, Jill. Go get your guy. Like if
This is my guy.
You weren't on our My Guys episode, but if you were, Wheatley would have been one of your three. I'm positive of it. So go listen to that episode, mini pod, if you haven't. But love you standing on this hill and planting your flag and saying, Zakee Wheatley, you are a Pittsburgh Steeler. And if he is, more power to him. Let's go.
Right. Twice the reward, right? 2 million points for me.
Yeah. They could double the points for doubling down on this guy.
Right.
I like Zakee Wheatley. There are very few safeties that come out that are true free safeties. More of them are more strong safeties. He's much more so a true free safety, which is not something Pittsburgh has a lot of on the roster right now. Jaquan Brisker, more of a strong safety than free. Deshaun Elliott, a very good, strong safety. Even Jalen Ramsey plays almost more strong safety type with his just instincts of going in for the killer shot and really crushing people. So this would give you that secondary piece, that guy that's a complementary piece, and maybe that's your future starting secondary then with the Penn State guys, Brisker and Zakee Wheatley back there. I think you could do a lot worse than that. This is one of those dudes that's, to me, if you get to the third round and you haven't taken a safety yet, this is one of the guys that you can get that will immediately be considered at that level that could start year one if you needed him to. But if you got to sit him for a year or two, that's perfectly fine. You're going to feel real comfortable when he steps on the field.
Yeah. And I do think he overlapped with Brisker at Penn State. I don't know if they played together, but I think they had a year of overlap on the team because Wheatley replaced when Brisker left in 22. Wheatley went in. So yeah. I don't know if they were ever on the field together, but they might have overlapped a year in college. So anyway, yeah, so that's the hill. I would also love to die on the Zachariah Branch hill. But after I just think that's not going to be the Mike McCarthy receiver since he's only 5'11". Anyway, that's one of my other guys. I really like him, but sadly not on this draft. All right, pick 121. I am going back to the cornerback room. I am going to Washington with Ephesians Prysock. He is a pre-draft visitor. It was between him and Takario because they're teammates. That'd be really ironic if the Steelers took both of them, which ideally they could because Takario could go early in the third and then you take Prysock later on. But 6'3", 196 pounds, 33 and an 8 arm, 9 3/4 hand. He ran a 4.45 40-yard dash, 39 vert, 10.4 broad, and over total, he had 173 tackles with 116 that were total or solo just from him. What I like is that he can play both outside cornerback spots, and he is extremely physical. And he has this aggressive mentality when he's on the field. What he actually reminds me a lot of JPJ, where we are just so highly physical that we need a little bit of refinement. But when we're looking in this rounds of the draft at this point, those are the type of guys that you want. You want somebody who's physical that just needs refined, that needs technique, that needs coached. And I think you bring in somebody like Prysock, you put him under someone like JPJ, and it is just a lump of clay ready to be developed into an elite corner.
So before I jump on this one here, I just wanted to give a little bit of a jump back to Zakee Wheatley. Played with both Joey Porter Jr. and Jaquan Brisker at Penn State in their final years, and actually started off as a corner, then transitioned to safety. So just a little bit of a tidbit there for y'all. refers to Brisker as his blood brother and mentor, allegedly.
I mean,
So
okay.
just saying, bring him in, Pittsburgh.
Come
Bring
on,
him in.
Steelers, do the right thing here.
But yeah, love Prysock. Another guy who I really like the physicality of. He's able to run with a lot of the guys, but also is able to just lay out a hit and potentially knock the ball out. And that's what we like from Pittsburgh. I love watching the Debo and Joe show and listening to Debo talk about how he would lay guys out. There was a recent episode where he mentioned another player talking about putting people to sleep. He's like, if you're gonna put people to sleep, you gotta not be afraid to go to sleep yourself. So if you're gonna be afraid of physicality, you're not gonna be able to go out there and lay out those big hits that are gonna be really instrumental to either knocking the ball out, creating a turnover, or breaking up a play. That's the physicality of the AFC North that we really want to see, and I think Prysock is able to bring that.
Well, and just imagine Prysock being taught and brought up by someone like Zakee Wheatley, who doesn't commit penalties, and someone like JPJ, who unfortunately does a little bit, but doesn't allow a single touchdown in 3 years.
Well,
I mean,
not only that, but JPJ, like last season, was flagged significantly less.
Yeah, it was
So,
only
He's been cleaning it up.
yeah, like you talk about a true mentor where it's like coming out of college in his first few years in Pittsburgh. I mean, it was like every other play, you felt like, well, here goes Porter again. Like he got another flag. And to be like, you can still be productive and you can learn from this and you can clean it up and still bring that physical piece. Because I mean, JPJ is not afraid to be physical at all. And so having somebody who literally already has done that work of like, I was physical, I was making all of these mistakes and getting flags here. This is what you do to not do that. Match made in heaven.
Yeah. Obviously, you guys know I like him, as he's been in one of my mocks as well. It's rare to find guys the size, the length, the speed combination that you've got with him here. So I love it. I love him. I love his teammate. I think he can go absolutely awesome with either one of these guys with the potential of future starter. And I love what you're doing here. You got us 2 corners and a safety. We got a whole new secondary. And these guys got some coverage skills. They got some good size and length to them. And that's going to be real tough for the Bengals to move the ball against this secondary.
Listen, I'm here to shore up the secondary because I feel like we've gone so many years where it would just be like, well, here goes the secondary again. And you're just like, head down. I can't look.
That's when I'm normally messaging the group chat and being negative Nancy.
Right. Well, every Steeler fan, let's be real. We're just like, okay, nope, can't even watch. Like, this is pathetic.
Yeah, because getting those 3rd and longs and they go into a soft zone because they didn't have the guys for man coverage in this situation. You go with guys like this, you have the guys for man coverage.
Mm-hmm.
You can just have your safeties deep and have your corners just man up on everybody, and you'll be able to stop offenses in these 3rd and long situations that have been such a problem for Pittsburgh.
Such a problem. So I went very heavy defense. So we are going to switch sides of the ball with pick number 135. We are going to North Dakota State. We are getting ourselves a quarterback in Cole Payton. So again, we've talked a lot about not necessarily loving this quarterback class, but if you want Will Howard to compete for a spot, I think this is the guy to bring in. 6'3", 232 pounds, 31 5/8 arm, 10 1/4 hands. He's got a 40 vert, a 10-10 broad. He did a 4.36 shuttle. He only started last year. That was his first year that he was actually the starter. And in his season, he had 2,719 yards passed, 16 touchdowns, and a 70% completion rate. He also rushed for 717 yards and an additional 13 touchdowns. So this guy is athletic as all get out. I think he's athletic. He's got great speed. He's got a good arm. He has the look. I know there's been talks of like McCarthy wants like that true AFC North football guy. I think Cole Payton has that look, has that athleticism, has that toughness. When looking at like the lump of clay for McCarthy, the QB whisperer, I think this could be it because you're already starting out with a lot of raw talent, especially with that arm. He's got a good arm on him. I think you refine technique. You let him sit behind Rodgers, question mark. I don't know if I think the gaping hole that is our quarterback scenario right now. But with the likely chance that Rodgers is going to be our quarterback, you sit Cole Payton behind him for a year, and I think we have a really great race for a potential QB1 the following season. So I would like if we get somebody like him, preseason would be very fun to watch.
It's Green Bay.
Go ahead, Cody.
Wait. Oh, I've got another thing. Sorry.
All three of us started going, so this is good.
Not all. Okay, so yes, he's in the draft as a quarterback, but I saw there were talks on Steeler Depot of switching to tight end because he's so big and athletic. So, draft him, and if he's not doing a QB, maybe take a couple snaps at tight end and see if that works. I don't know. Just a little interesting tidbit. Okay, go ahead.
No, you guys know how I feel. This was the first quarterback I mocked, and I mocked him with the receiver as well. But so my thoughts on him. I'd love to have him. The balloons are here for me. I'm celebrating. I love it. The big thing for me, the one thing I want to note just for future reference as well is North Dakota State is silently becoming a quarterback manufacturer. Mm-hmm. I mean, Carson Wentz in 2016, Trey Lance in 2021. You had Easton come out there. He hasn't done much in the NFL. If he's still in the NFL, I don't know. But this is a school that is developing some quarterbacks that have shown they can play at the next level. Mm-hmm. And so I would love this pick. I'd love to see him come in. And obviously compete with Will Howard, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that's the downfall, and I feel like we've talked about this, and we could probably talk for hours about this, is bring in somebody like Cole Payton, but we bring Rodgers back, and then that's just such a huge question mark for 2027. Like, do we try to go number one overall pick with a quarterback? Do we roll with Will Howard? Do we roll with Cole Payton? Like, there's a lot of variables that aren't an immediate issue for this season, but could cause a lot of confusion for next season, which is partly why I'm like, well, draft him and let's just duke it out between him and Howard and see what happens with this season. We don't need Rodgers, whatever, it's fine. But at the same time, you're like, well, bring Rodgers in. He can develop Peyton. There's trade-offs no matter which way we go at this point.
James, you then me?
Yeah, sounds good to me. I mean, like what Jill said there, one of the big things here is what is Mike McCarthy looking for in a quarterback? He has mentioned he wants the AFC North type. It doesn't get any more AFC North than a guy like this. A big, strong, physical, fantastically strong arm, shows a lot of good touch and accuracy, throws on tape. He's not erratic like some of these other guys like a Talon Green where his arm's very erratic. Yes. That's not the problem here with Cole Payton. I would be very happy if they brought him in. I think that this is one of those underrated dudes going into the pre-draft process where people are like, he went to this small school. I don't care that he went to a small school. Kid's tape is great. His athleticism is awesome. You want somebody who can stand tall in the pocket and shake off a sack or two. Very clearly something he has a lot of experience doing. So I'd be really excited with this as a possible guy for the future. Are you going to start him year one? Probably not. There's not a lot of guys in this class that you're going to start year one at quarterback. But there's also not a lot of guys that you can look at and say the ceiling is incredible on a guy like this. Yeah. There are some guys that you look at him and say like a Garrett Nussmeier, like he's got good college tape. But the ceiling is probably just like a really good number 2 quarterback. Mm-hmm. You can't see him ever developing into something elite. He's too small. He doesn't have as good of an arm. He's not as athletic. None of those things are an issue with Cole Payton. He has all of the things that could allow him to develop into something serious. I want an all-out battle for quarterback next year. Yeah, let's give these guys shields and swords, and let's see who comes out as the last man standing. Give them boxing gloves. I don't really care. But let's let these dudes duke it out. I want to see some real serious competition in the preseason. I don't need to see 100 snaps from Mason Rudolph. I want to see it from these young cats. Let's get them out there. We got to get another quarterback on the roster. I want to see Will Howard play too. I'd love to see Will Howard be the man. Let's get him some competition and make sure he's being pushed every day.
Yep.
So just to put a little bit of respect on Joey Porter Jr.'s name, he was not within the top 25 of penalized defensive backs last year, so good for him.
We live in here, so
So good for Joey for cleaning it up a little bit. But this is fulfilling the Green Bay prophecy. You know, Aaron Rodgers comes to the team, Mike McCarthy comes to the team, quarterbacks sit behind him for a year or two, and then they come in and they fill in that spot, and they're better off for it. So I hope it works out. I hope that gets to happen. If not, apparently, according to Steelers Depot, we can give him the Tim Tebow treatment and send him right over to tight end. So, I mean, hey, worst things could happen. This is where I feel comfortable going quarterback. I don't feel comfortable going quarterback beyond this. I fear Pittsburgh might, because McCarthy talks about, you know, being higher on Will Howard last year than everybody else was, and he wouldn't have got to the point where he was because McCarthy would have taken him earlier. I don't want to see that in a quarterback class like the one we've got now. So I'm really hoping that Pittsburgh waits until this point, is patient, because I obviously don't want Kenny Pickett 2.0. So keep Ty Simpson out of the first round unless the Jets take him. Unless the Jets take him with their second pick or something like that, don't want him in the first round.
No.
Definitely don't want him at Pittsburgh. But, you know, I really just don't want to see us reach for a quarterback again. There are other needs on this team. We've talked about it before. Upgrade positions. I don't want to see you take a drastic reach at a guy that's not going to be a stud guy in the league. I mean, we saw, and we talked about it in one of the minisodes, we saw how Tyler Shuck was a higher quality player who fell down draft boards because he had injury concerns and he was older. So if you can find a guy that's in a later round who provides you value, who provides you a ceiling, who can sit with quarterback whisperer McCarthy and hopefully develop into something good, take a guy like this who's got the measurables, who's shown he has the talent, who can be coached, who can sit behind Rodgers if he comes back. It's a much better scenario. And worst case scenario, you trot him or Howard out there for a year, and then you get a solid pick in the 2027 draft, which has apparently a lot more quarterback talent to be able to go out and get that guy of the future if you need to. But worst case scenario, you're just not great for a year, and then you go back and you reload, and you're right back in it. Pittsburgh doesn't like to rebuild, they like to reload, and that's a natural way of doing it. And best case scenario, you've got your guy already and you're just drafting a stud from a different position, maybe even trade back. So I love this kind of pick. I would much rather see them do something like this than go out and get a Ty Simpson in round 1, 2, or 3, one of those types of players, and just completely set themselves back several years again.
Right.
And ironically, we talked about, I just mentioned, you know, Trey Lance being one of the guys that came out of that program. The last time Mike McCarthy coached a team, he brought Trey Lance in. Just saying.
And that worked out so well for him.
he played like 4 games. It was mostly Dak Prescott.
Well, and just to comment on, like, James, you were talking about the small school. Big Ben came out of Miami, Ohio.
Yep.
Like, I don't think Pittsburgh's not afraid of a small school if they think it's the guy. So that's all I have to say about that. That is the mic drop for me there.
That's exactly what I went Toledo round 1. I hear you.
That's true. I mean, I get it. I get it. So,
what do you got for us? We're what, 5th round now, Joe?
We're at pick 161.
All
right. For pick 161, I am going with a linebacker. We are going to BYU, and we are getting Jack Kelly. He is 6'2", 240 pounds, 31 and an 1/8 inch arms, 9 and an 1/8 hand. He ran a 4.57 40-yard dash, 37 vert, 10.5 broad, 7.12 the 3-cone, and then he was a 4.19 for the shuttle. At BYU, he had 106 tackles, 15 sacks, and 23.5 tackles for loss. He also was a 30.2 pressure rate. He plays with great pace, and he's physical. We love a physical guy. We're here for the bully ball. And especially in short field scenarios, short field plays. He also, at BYU, he was a team captain when he was there. So that attests to good character, dude, which is what we like to see on our team. I mean, Pittsburgh cares a lot about character, which is why we see certain moves at the wide receiver position, more likely than not. But we care about the character of a guy, and for him to be the team captain, I think speaks a lot about his character. Definitely at this pick, he's more of that rotational piece, but we can use that at this point. We've talked a lot about like Patrick Queen and Peyton Wilson, like Peyton Wilson not being the every down guy, but like rotating somebody in like Jack Kelly, who's physical and like in short field scenarios is just like explosive, I think would be a great rotational piece. Could even be utilized on special teams. He does give a little bit of like edge rusher. I mean, he just like his pressure and he's going after the quarterback a lot. So I feel like he's a unique linebacker position, but he came in for a pre-draft visit. So that's why he's on my my draft. We need something at the linebacker, especially if there are actual talks of Patty Q being traded. We'll definitely need somebody. He won't be the green dot guy. I would never expect a rookie to be that, but a good rotational piece.
Two things I noticed about him, if you're watching on YouTube in the tape that Cody just put up there for us, he's always in the backfield and he never gives up on the play. Even if he whiffs his first attempt at bringing the ball carrier down, he's chasing him back down and he's finishing the play. He never goes, oh, I missed, and now the guy's down the field. That's somebody else's assignment. No, if he misses, he's still tracking him down and he's still giving his all to make a play on the ball. And I love that in a late round flyer.
He's a perfect situation where you have somebody, either miss on a play or take a bad angle at first and then be the guy to pick up a fumble recovery or something like that. He's going to put himself in position to make plays. Awesome potential in my mind for quarterback spy. You got to see a lot of him tracking the quarterback while waiting to see where he could blitz or where he could make a play in a potential pass game. He looks like a guy that you can line up in the middle linebacker position and blitz him down any gap. I mean, he's going to make some pressure. He's going to apply some pressure. And obviously, like you said, even the rotational piece of the outside edge rusher has some potential there as well.
Blitzburg.
I feel like this is a dude that if he went to Georgia or Ohio State or Alabama, we'd be talking about him in the second or third round. This is a talented kid. It is rare nowadays to find a linebacker coming out of college who's already 240 pounds that isn't just a thumper. Like, if you were watching on YouTube, you saw his closing speed is sick, man. Like, when this dude decides he's going after the guy with the ball, it's like the change in acceleration you saw from Troy Polamalu back in the day. He's fast, but when he decides he's going after the dude, it's a whole nother gear. I really like the tape on this kid. And the size for someone this late in the draft, we're talking about a fifth-round pick. I think there is future starter potential with a kid like this. And it's tough to find that in later round dudes. It's a lot of like 225 pounds, 5'11". Like, sure, he's fast, but he's small. Okay, he hits hard, but he can't cover. This is a well-rounded dude, and I would love to see him in black and gold, man. I think that you're going to have a very big changing of the guard at the middle linebacker position in Pittsburgh. And I have a feeling that in a year or two, there might only be one or two guys that are in that room now that are still there. So we got to reload, do it with some guys with size and athleticism. And, man, this kid's got potential in my book.
Yep. So, all right, 216. We are going with another wide receiver out of Cincinnati. We are going with Jeff Caldwell. He is 6'4", 216 pounds, 32 and 5/8 inch arms, 9 3/4 hands. He ran a 4.31 40-yard dash. He has an 11.2 broad and a 42 vert. This dude is speedy. So we talked, I was looking, back at pick 2 with Jeremy Bernard, where he's physical. He's not the fastest, but he does have speed. This could be your speedy guy that could compete with somebody like a Roman Wilson. It was kind of my thought, like make Roman Wilson fight for his spot a little bit more. Because he's so speedy, he can be used to stretch the field vertically. So that gives you a lot of options for the deep threat. He creates that separation because he's so speedy. He has really strong hands. And at this point in the draft, at this point where we're at, he's again more of that clay where you can mold him into something. You don't have to coach up his measurables, but you can coach up technique and coach up route running, because that's something that he does well. It's not the most refined, but he's so quick. And that's why I was like, all right, that's our speed guy right there. He also has come in for a pre-draft visit. So, which is, a lot of these guys, almost all of them, I think there's like 2 or 3 from my draft that are not pre-draft visitors.
I'm 99% sure this is the guy that Cody was talking about at the beginning of the show, wanting to see me crash out for when Jill took him. Because this is one of my guys for sure. I believe I highlighted him on the sleeper episode. He was arguably the most athletic wide receiver to test in this draft. I know we talked about the RAS scores not mattering at the beginning of our Who's Mock Is It Anyway intro today. But in this case, it does, because this is the top guy. So, he's very, very quick. If you're watching on YouTube, some of the highlights Cody got for us, one of those grabs reminded me of the George Pickens grab versus the Browns. He flashes some of that just freak of nature athletic ability that we saw from Pickens, and you can get him in the late rounds and you can coach him up and you can let him sit for a year, and he's not pressured to be a guy or the guy day one,
Right.
But he's probably still going to fight to be that third wide receiver, regardless of if you take Bernard, and you'll probably see Bernard play more, because if you invest the higher round capital, you typically want those guys to see the field a bit more.
Right.
But Caldwell's a guy that you feel great about getting this late. Run the pick in. Do not question it. Do not take the full 4 minutes that they bring you down to at that point in the draft, and just say, yeah, that's my guy, and take him away from the Ravens, because I don't want the Ravens taking our guys.
Yeah, my thing with him is he was the number 3 receiver, and he had 32 receptions for 478 yards and 6 touchdowns. So very, very productive. I mean, that's a 14.9 average per reception. Very productive from a third string wide receiver. So I love to see that. I'm also trying to figure out where he played. I don't have the list of schools he played at, and I'm trying to figure that out. But in 2024, I'm assuming he might have been a number 1 or number 2 receiver wherever he was before, because he didn't have stats with Cincinnati. But 52 receptions for over 1,000 yards and 10 touchdowns with a 19.4 average per reception. So this is your big playmaker. This is your take the top off of defense. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And not only that, but he's a good run blocker. So like current to him is like he's an immediate deep threat, and he's a good run blocker. So, which is something when you look at like DK, you could look at Pittman, you can use those two for those short field, like we're going to get, the easy first down. We're going to get 5 to 6 yards here. This guy, I'm like, all right, send him down the field or put him on and he's blocking a runner. Or blocking for the run. I think it's a swing and a knock it out of the park here.
His first 3 years was at Lindenwood University in Ohio.
Yep.
So I don't know if that rings a bell, Jill, but
OH.
If Pittsburgh picks Jeff Caldwell here, raise the cone.
Bro, no, you gotta do this. Bring back the stand.
Here's where I come in and I say it is unreasonable for us to assume that no one on the Steelers will ever get hurt. If DK Metcalf were to miss some time, whether it be because he got injured or maybe he did something he shouldn't do, which unfortunately he's got a little bit of a temper sometimes, so that can happen with a guy like DK. Michael Pittman isn't a stretch the field guy. He was a 4.5, 240 when he came out. There isn't really currently on the team the guy that you can put in DK's position that can duplicate what he does from a side speed contested catch kind of situation. This dude is a very similar size. Mm-hmm. The speed is almost identical with his extreme speed for a guy that size. You can send him deep. He can stretch the defenses. He can simulate what DK does for you without having DK on the field. if that has happened to you. And we've got 4 more years of DK under contract. So it's reasonable to assume at some point in time in those 4 years, he's going to miss some time. If you can plug a kid like this in his spot, you don't even have to change how you approach your offensive game plan, which we saw in the past. Cody's shaking his head, Jill's shaking her head. Like when George Pickens went down, Pittsburgh didn't have a game plan. They had no one they could put in there. They didn't know what to do. Last year, when DK got double and triple teamed and you had no other wide receivers worth marching out there on the field, like we didn't know what to do. This gives you a game plan of, okay, we'll just march this dude out. Like, is he DK? No. Can he do the DK things and simulate what DK does? Heck yeah, he can. So, yeah, I'd love seeing a kid like this in black and gold.
Well,
I'm only bringing this up because of you talking about DK missing time. The league did just approve the DK Metcalf rule, which now they can, throw people out of a game remotely from New York. So there's a chance.
But even so, like, we're looking at these receivers, I'm thinking even if DK does get hurt, if you've got Pittman who's physical, you've got Bernard who's physical, somebody like Caldwell could succeed and could do things like DK because the other receivers are doing what they need to do and being physical, and so he can get to his spot and get his assignment. So those are my 2 cents and some. All right, pick 224. Went a little out of the norm here. It's not a pre-draft visitor. I was a little like, I don't know where to go at this pick because I could see some other potentials. I think some of the guys that I really like are truly going to fall, so we can wait till the end to get them. But I went with an offensive tackle out of Notre Dame, and Emil Wagner. He is 6'6", 306 pounds, 34.5-inch arms, 10 and a quarter hands. He ran a 5.01 40-yard dash. He had a 29.5 vert and a 9 broad. So I'm like, dang, a 306 guard that's running just like a 40-yard dash is tackle. It's pretty good. He is a good anchor and good effort. I think this is just a great depth piece, making sure that we're shoring up our offensive line at this point in the draft. This is a good, just an insurance pick is how I was using this. And what's really funny is the mock draft simulator that I used compared him to Broderick Jones. So I was like, I'm like, well, then he'd be a perfect fit if he's being compared to Broderick Jones. Again, he's still developing, but he could be very successful in the NFL because he's got the length with his arms. He's got the weight. He's got the height that we need. He's quick for a tackle. He uses his hands well. He has a great first step. And I think with the offensive line coaching that we have, we could develop him into a very, if anything, like a very sturdy backup. I mean, he could be like a Spencer Anderson where you put him in, Broderick Jones goes down, you put him in, and you're like, all right, it's business as usual.
Hopefully last year.
What's up?
I was just gonna say, hopefully last year Broderick Jones and not beginning of his career Broderick Jones.
Correct.
But that's my only thoughts. If he can be that same body, I like what you said about sliding in and just business as usual because it's the same type of player. So he should play a similar style. Yeah,
I feel like we're deeper at guard than we are at tackle. So I would like to see a developmental tackle in this draft. Kid's got great size, length combination and better than average athleticism too. So that's a great starting point for a developmental piece.
When watching him on tape, he feels like the kid that spurted a growth spurt late and kind of still getting used to his body. If he can come in and get in the NFL and really take some time, obviously hit the weight room, not that he needs to get drastically stronger, but everyone in the NFL realizes, hey, these guys are men, not boys, and works on his footwork. I think he has a great opportunity to maybe take over for Broderick if Broderick doesn't come back healthy or potentially fight for a starting job in the future. Obviously, we're all sold on Troy. We want Troy sticking around, but there is still that question mark to the depth in that offensive tackle room. So,
all right. Pick 230 I really like Penn State in this draft. Big Penn State fan, apparently. I do believe, what did you guys call it? Tight end university? Because
Yeah.
that's where we're going. This is the tight end room, and we are getting Khalil Dinkins. He is a Pittsburgh kid. He actually is from Wexford, PA, and he went to NA. And then he went to Penn State. So he's sticking with PA, and nothing would be better than to bring him back home in the black and gold. He is 6'4", 251 pounds, 33 and a quarter arm, 9.5 hands, did 25 reps on the bench. He ran a 4.72 40-yard dash, 32.5 vert, 9.11 broad, and a 4.33 shuttle. He plays with power, and he is strong. Excellent blocking. And I think he catches the ball. Like when he does catch the ball, he catches it away from his body and then brings it in, which is a great element when you're looking for those contested catches as a tight end. I think this would be a great addition if we had him on the field to see more receptions for Freiermuth, because he can actually block, unlike our tight end room last year with one that we're happy. We wish him the best, but I'm glad it's not with us. And so to have this tight end who is strong and is able to block, I think could free up Muth. I think he could be coached up into even more, because he does receive. That's just not the strong suit from him, even though all of these highlights are clearly the receiving highlights. When I was reading and researching, it was all about how he is like a menace with blocking, and is just strong and is bullying people on the line. So, and then we went this late just because, we're McCarthy does more wide receiver sets. So I don't know what the tight end room will look like, but at least bringing that third guy in so that if Freiermuth gets injured or Darnell gets injured, we have somebody who is a good blocker, who has the potential for receiving. I just think it's a great depth piece that could be developed into something even more incredible. So tight end university.
Yeah, it's tough when you see these later round tight ends that are good blockers, because the people trying to find footage to show on YouTube and stuff that they put out there is mostly their receiving highlights, because that's what people want to see. I couldn't find any blocking things for him, but again, getting a blocking tight end this late that has the opportunity to also catch and not be out there and just looked at it's kind of like when we put Darnell out there, most teams knew we were running. This gives you the option to throw someone out there and not have that be known. I like the pick, Penn State all the way. And I wonder if I don't believe the time matches up for there to be overlap with Pat on this one. I could be wrong.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Way too much of a gap. Yeah. But to me, the number 3 tight end is a real big question mark right now. Obviously, there's guys on the team that are not really rosterable behind Pat and Darnell. So what's the plan if one of those two goes down?
Right.
That was not something that was well executed last year. Johnny Smith couldn't really be an inline blocker. Connor Hayward was too small to be an inline blocker. When Darnell went down, the game plan went to crap. We just talked about this. When DK went down, they didn't really know what to do. When George Pickens went down, they didn't know what to do. Darnell went down at the end of the year. They didn't have somebody on the roster that could fill the role. So this is someone who can fill that role. If you need him to receive, he can do it. If you need him to block, he can do it. He's a well-rounded tight end, and I think that third tight end needs to be somebody who can do all the things, and you don't have to change your complete game plan if one of your top guys goes down.
This is a guy I would like to see contribute on special teams as well, because he has good blocking ability, so he could be a guy for that role as well. There's not a third tight end on this roster right now, as far as I'm aware. So getting one is good. I don't want it to be early because it's not really a top priority, but it should still be a priority. And this is a guy that you don't have to worry about going out and signing a UDFA to hopefully bring in. That's hopefully going to be good and hopefully going to be able to contribute. Because you figure Penn State wasn't known for their offense last year, which could be a knock against him. But this was one of my sleeper guys because they have had such success with their tight end room, tight end university. And like James said, you can slide him in there if any of the other guys go down and hope that he can contribute. So late round flyer, lump of clay, and a lump of clay that you don't feel bad about taking the shot on. You're not like, oh, well, here's a guy we're gonna go draft because we have the pick and we gotta take the pick. So it's a guy that could be something, and that's what you're taking a shot on with this pick.
JJ Galbraith is the third tight end on this
Yeah.
team right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
And he's a receiving only option.
Yeah.
Janu was. So yeah, we got to do better than that.
All right, my last pick is the same as my last pick from my first draft because this is my guy. I love this guy. We're going wide receiver out of Iowa, Caden Wetjen. I mean, we need him. We need this return game to be unlocked, and he has all of the stats like we have talked about. I mean, he's been mocked many times on this show alone. I just think I don't know if he'll necessarily be there for our last pick, but yeah, we need him. One of these picks has to be him. I mean, just like we've talked about before, he had a 26.8 yards return average, which is much better than anything we've put up in recent seasons. I mean, we've talked about it. Who was it? Smith Schuster was the last person to return a touchdown, return a punt, or any kind of return in any way. But
and it was early in his career too. It wasn't like the last year he was with us out of 5 years. It was like his rookie season or his second season that he got that kick return for a touchdown. So it's been a long time.
Yeah. So, and I mean, he got the Jet Award twice, and then the Rogers Dwight return specialist twice. He set the school record for kick returns for touchdowns. I mean, this guy's just an absolute menace when it comes to the return game. And we need that spark. We need
Wetjen is the
Yeah, we've all made this very clear. We love this kid. So if he becomes a Steeler, one heck of a return man. Can you turn him into a decent wide receiver too? Maybe. I don't really care if you can or not because he's that good as a return man.
Yep.
You roster him purely because he is an elite return man.
Mm-hmm. And he looks good in black and gold. I mean, it's
not wrong.
Right.
Wetjen is the most mocked player in all of our mock drafts so far. He's been mocked 4 times by this podcast, and I'm not certain he won't be mocked again. So we'll see how all that goes. My final mock is coming up next week, so stay tuned for that, and we'll see. Maybe I bring Wetjen in a 5th time.
Yeah, I like it. But that is my 2026 mock draft 2.0 that got a B on my mock draft simulator because
I give it an A+ for Vega alone.
Right, that alone should get me a higher grade.
Well, we cannot thank you enough for listening to us here at Mock Draft 2.0 by the Lake. If you could, please give us a follow on Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Spotify, and YouTube. Subscribe, ring the bell. Does not cost you a thing and helps the podcast out very much. Please don't forget those 5-star reviews, especially if you're new on Apple Podcasts. Make James and the rest of us very happy. And until next time, these are your hosts, Nick, James, Cody, and Jill, signing off.
Peace.